In any craft, there's this tradition, this real need to pass on what you know. And it's so much more than just keeping a business running, right? It's about keeping the soul of the work alive. And that transfer, that all happens through mentorship. So today we're going to break down how you can become the mentor who doesn't just teach, but truly shapes the future.
And this quote, it just nails it. Look, anyone can show someone how to operate a machine or fill out a form. That's teaching a task. But a true mentor, you're doing something bigger. You're the one building their confidence, sparking new ways of thinking, and setting a standard of professionalism that's going to stick with them for their entire career.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the real why behind mentorship. Then we'll get into laying that critical foundation of trust. From there, we'll stock up your toolkit with some seriously powerful teaching methods, master the art of communication, and then finally, we'll talk about how you pass the torch and create a legacy that lasts.
Okay, first up, let's really lock in on this core idea. When you take on a mentee, you're not just training a replacement or getting an extra set of hands. No way. You are actively getting the next generation ready to keep your whole industry strong and moving forward. You're basically the bridge from how things are done now to how they'll be done in the future.
And this is the end goal, isn't it? The real win of great mentorship isn't a mentee who can just follow a checklist. It's a colleague who can think on their feet, who can tackle a problem they've never seen before, and who actually adds real value to the team. And that's all because you helped them build that confidence and those problem-solving skills.
So how do we get there? Well, it all starts with the foundation. And I mean like on day one. You just can't effectively guide someone who doesn't trust you, so let's really focus on how to build that essential rapport and that feeling of safety right from the get-go. Think of trust like a structure that's built on 4 key pillars. First, you've got to be approachable. Share a little about yourself. Second, set really clear expectations so nobody's guessing. Third, be reliable. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Every time. And finally, you have to protect that trust by respecting their privacy. That creates a safe space where they can actually tell you what's going on.
This is such a perfect example of the power of being vulnerable. Admitting your own mistakes, it doesn't make you look weak, it makes you look human. It sends a clear signal to your mentee that making mistakes is just part of learning, and that you're the person they can come to when they inevitably make their own. Honestly, it's the fastest way to build that bridge of trust.
Okay, with that foundation of trust in place, we can start building. It's time to load up your mentor's toolkit with some practical, hands-on techniques for passing on knowledge in a way that actually sticks.
Now, this is a classic for a reason, because it absolutely works. The I do, we do, you do model is just a super simple, super effective way to teach something hands-on. First, you do it, and you explain the why behind each step. Then we do it, where they take the controls, but you're right there coaching. And finally, they do it. You step back and observe, letting them own it.
Oh man, this is such a crucial difference. Telling someone the answer creates dependency. Asking questions creates problem solvers. When something goes wrong, I know the first instinct is to just point out the fix. But if you can fight that urge and instead ask a question like, hey, walk me through your setup, you're actually teaching them how to think critically. That's the skill that will serve them long after you're gone.
Let's add 3 more powerhouse tools to your kit. First, to keep from overwhelming them, use chunk and check. Break big jobs into tiny, manageable pieces. Next, to make sure they really get it, use teach back. And finally, always remember to adapt your style, because everyone learns differently. Being flexible is a huge part of this.
And here's a perfect, totally low-pressure way to use that teach-back method. Phrasing it like this makes it feel like an exercise, not a test. If they can explain it clearly to a new guy, you know for sure they've got it. And if they get stuck, well, now you know exactly which part you need to go over again together.
Okay, so you can have all the technical skills and the best teaching methods in the world, but if you can't communicate well, you're going to hit a wall. So much of great mentorship is really about leading through conversation and navigating all those tricky human parts of being in a workplace.
The interesting thing is, your role changes based on the challenge you're facing. With something like a generation gap, you're a bridge builder. When conflict pops up, you become a coach. And just in the day-to-day stuff, you're a role model. See how for each of these challenges, there's a specific hat you put on and a clear action you can take?
Let's just zoom in on that conflict coaching for a second. This is such a practical and powerful tip. If your mentee is having a tough time with a supervisor, don't just nod along. Help them prepare. Actually role-playing that tough conversation helps them get their thoughts straight, keep their emotions in check, and walk into that situation way more constructively.
Your job as a mentor also means you're a proactive force for making the workplace a good place to be. Championing inclusivity isn't a passive thing. It's not just about not being disrespectful. It's about actively showing respect, shutting down inappropriate comments, and making sure every single person feels like they belong and are valued for their skills.
All right, let's bring this all home and talk about the ultimate goal. This is about passing the torch, making sure all the knowledge, all the skills, and the values you've shared don't just end with this one person. This is about building your legacy.
And making that lasting impact really just boils down to two final responsibilities. And these are the two things that separate the good mentors from the truly great ones.
So first, you have to keep supporting their growth, always looking ahead to what's next for them. But second, and this is the part a lot of us forget, you have to keep learning yourself. Ask for feedback, talk to other mentors. Great mentorship isn't a destination, it's a skill you're always working on.
And that's really the big takeaway here. This is not just some nice thing to do. By investing your time and your experience into somebody else, you are playing a direct part in shaping the future. The standards you set, the skills you pass on, and the confidence you build, that stuff is going to ripple out for years and years to come.
So I'll leave you with this question. After everything we've talked about, what is the one lesson, and I don't just mean a technical skill, but a core value, what's the one lesson you're going to intentionally pass on the very next chance you get? Just think about that, because that right there, that's where your legacy begins.